Today, I'll be reacting to a video called The Tactic That Is Fixing Man United. Obviously, I am a Man United fan. The transfer window so far has been decent. Obviously, maybe a few more additions. I'm not going to go into detail. Preferably, maybe a fullback, maybe another midfielder, maybe an attacker. But today, we're not going to be focusing on the transfers. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on the tactics. Now, Carrick's came in January. And the last 6 months, he's been really. I think we've seen his tactical ideation in the last few games of the season, especially with the Mount Mainu pivot, where it's more two technical pivot midfielders, I guess you could say, not really just one per se, more like a. And he recently said in an interview, or I don't know, but he wants to. He inspires to be PSG, which you see how their midfield's very expressive. They all can do everything. They're all technically really good, and they can all They can all go forward, but they can all defend. You kind of want all-round midfielders who are technically really good. That's what we're trying to go for. So this video is going to showcase the video by DK Falcon. I've watched a couple of his videos across the years, but the tactic that is fixing Man United is the one I'll be watching today. Obviously, as a Man United fan, this intrigues me. And what I'm going to see.
26. United won the Manchester Derby at their home for the
I know.
first time in 3 years.
I don't know if it's an AI voice or not, but these are
Many
properly
fans
made.
said this game felt like watching the old United again. The passes, the movement, and goals felt nostalgic. So I wanted to understand what exactly that nostalgia meant, and the answer I found was an identity. An identity that had existed since the days of Sir Matt Busby and reached its peak under Sir Alex Ferguson. But after Sir Alex, that same identity.
With Carrick back in, I mean, Ollie, you felt with Ollie. I don't know if it's just with the former players, but I get they just kind of know the way. No offense to Mourinho, Amarin, Ten Hag, Van Gaal, but they just didn't play for United, so they don't understand that feeling. The only times I felt Sir Alex vibes, attacking Man United vibes, was under Ollie for a period of time, and under Carrick. The only other manager that I felt like United was Ten Hag in the second half of his first season. We won the Carabao Cup, we beat Barcelona, yada yada yada. It felt like United as well then. That's the only other time it felt like United, not under a former manager.
Slowly disappeared. However,
and former player.
Later, United might have found someone who understands that. From playing the historic 4-4-2 system and a free-flowing front line, to using modern pressing baits and positional movements, he uses a blend of traditional and modern football principles to make United one of the most unpredictable sides in the Premier League.
I mean, these are the results that we got in the second half of the season. These are the results. Doesn't even show Tottenham. I know they finished 17th, but still, we beat Villa, we beat Arsenal, we beat Chelsea, we beat City, beat Liverpool. Clean sheet against City, clean sheet against Chelsea. Realistically, we gave 2 goals away to Liverpool, but clean sheet against Brighton. It's incredible. And look at the goals: 3, 3, 3, 2, 3.
This is the tactical analysis of Michael Carrick. So what exactly is the
I kind of know how we're playing, but I would like to see it in more detail and in an image. Sometimes, for me, I can think of something. Sometimes I can think of it, but I visually need to see it to know whether I'm right or not. Visuals are really important to me to understand things.
The character to be the manager of Man United, and
the character as well, yeah. That's another thing. Not just tactically, but his personality. I think he has it. One more thing. Sorry, I'm pausing a lot. I saw a lot of. I think hiring Carrick permanently was probably a good. I wouldn't say the safest option, or definitely a safe option, but I think it was the best option. I think we have this momentum. Let's keep it up. Let's not try and change it again by bringing in Glasner. I think we were linked to him, or another manager. So I find it. I find it good. I think some people didn't actually like it, the appointment, which I'm a bit surprised at because the momentum and the form we're in.
Look at this chart. It's the series of managers who were appointed after Sir Alex. The color highlighting them represent the style of play they are best known for. You see, after Sir Alex, United went through completely contrasting systems almost every 2 to 3 years. For instance, when we zoom into the transition from Ten Hag's tactics to Amorim, before his arrival, United
It's showing back. Okay, I was confused. I was like, pragmatic for Moyes, possession for Van Gaal, pragmatic for Mourinho, transitional for... I was a bit confused. I was like, Ollie didn't play high press. No, Ragnick did.
You see, after Sir Alex, United went through completely contrasting systems almost every 2 to 3 years. For instance, when we zoom into the transition...
Yeah, I remember Ragnick, that high press we were trying to do.
United have been playing
kinda... It was odd.
As when we look at Amorim's Sporting, the wingbacks perfectly maintained a balanced position to pull the opposite fullback higher and create space for the forwards to drift wide.
Yeah, we're just changing systems constantly.
Either the fullback or the winger had to play that role. So naturally,
it's not even like when we would hire a new manager, it would be something completely different. We would try something different, which makes sense. Like, okay, if this doesn't work, try something different. But like, we would then go back to things we have tried and see if it works again. Like, you know.
That balance. But it's not just the wingbacks. When you look at Amorim's midfield, he plays a double pivot with no number 10 staying higher. So Bruno has no choice but to play deeper.
Yeah.
And this became a
this still baffles me because I mean Bruno wasn't playing in the pivot last season. He only played in literally the beginning of last season, or the 25-26 season. That's when Bruno went into the pivot. We had Ugarte and Casemiro as our pivot. And that's what got us to Europa League final. And then we made it to Europa League final and got I know Ugarte is stinky. Man United do not like him, including me. But he got us to that final. He helped us get to that final, and yet he got dropped because we wanted to accommodate Mason Mount in the 10 and drop Bruno, who was playing good at further up. I don't. What baffles me is why couldn't we just play? Bruno could still drop deep to build up. I know the whole point was for Bruno to play in the pivot is to help with the build up. But as a 10, he may as well just drop deep and have one of the wingbacks push up into the 10. You get me? That type of thing.
Concern in midfield, as due to Bruno's aggressive playing nature, he can be seen pressing higher while risking the space behind him.
Yeah, he's not
one man to defend.
I think Bruno defensively, he's not got that defensive awareness as like a Casemiro and Ugarte. You get me? And Bruno is a bit more aggressive. He wants to be further up the pitch. To me, what could have worked is like you play. Like we would, I don't know if I can't remember if we were doing this, but we were playing like Bruno, Garnacho, and Højlund as our front three with Ugarte and Casemiro as a pivot. That was solid. It wasn't great, but it was working, right? It was working. But we could have, okay, Bruno plays in the 10. He can still drop deep to make a 3 midfield with Ugarte, Casemiro, and Bruno. But that means there's only like Ahmad or Garnacho and Højlund up front. We could have then had like Ballo push up, Dorgu push up, have a centre back slightly go out wider, either whoever it was, a Mazraoui or Yoro with like the wide centre backs at that point, have them slightly push up, and you still get 3 people up front, either one of the wing backs and then one of the 10s and Højlund, while Bruno is able to drop deep and help in the build up. You get me? That could have, I don't know, to me that could have worked.
They build up, the same Bruno has to stay deeper, which then leaves nobody in the higher areas to connect with the forwards. This gave the opposition a numerical advantage, allowing them to both defend comfortably and attack through United's central areas. However, the reason Amorim was hired was because of his huge success at Sporting, where he built everything around his 3-4-3 system. So naturally, he expected to adapt to
I still remember the day we hired him, the hype. I will say though, he wasn't my first option. I won't tell you my other 2 options.
And as usual, United
but
were already looking for the next manager. But little did they know,
my options were 2 other Premier League managers, 2 other managers who were managing the Premier League at that point. That's all I'm gonna say. He wasn't my first option, but obviously I gotta get on the hype. Carrick effect. Brought back classic. This is how we're meant to play. This is United. I love the 3-4-2-1, by the way. Love that formation. But at United, no, cannot work at United. This is.
And as midfielder himself, Carrick knew United had been struggling in the central area. So to solve this, instead of playing with a high defensive line like most United managers, Carrick chose to use a middle defensive line. Because in a mid-block, your team is neither too far from the attacking third, nor too close to your defensive ones. This means your first and last line don't have to worry about covering those opposite areas, allowing the team to stay compact and reduce the space between the lines. So even if the opposition tried to play through the middle, United were able to win the ball back quite easily. And with Bruno staying in a more advanced role, he can instantly create a dangerous connection with his passing. Also within this mid-block, when they defend, the winger are given the job of acting as extra covers, where they can be seen drifting inside to cover the spaces between the lines, or act as extra full backs to help the back four stay intact and protect the central spaces.
Good teams and all the good teams, they defend compact. Higher block, lower block. The lower block is more defensive, the higher block is more offensive, is more aggressive, but always in a block. It's just a basic principle. You have to defend compact. Like this.
But as they move into the final third, this is where Carrick's style feels very
This
similar
is
to
where it
Alex's
feels
era.
very, yeah. The freedom. I'm a United fan, I watch all their games.
Players to occupy fixed zones. Carrick gives them the freedom to play according
yeah.
to their natural strengths. For instance,
The amount of rondos, 1-2s that we saw in the second half of the season were mental. Just tight combinational play.
You have Ahmad, who is more of a dribbler and likes to take on defenders by himself. So you often see those relational players staying close together on one side, while the positional ones
Yeah, you kind of like,
on the other. This
basically you bring the ball to one side, move it around a little bit, force the opposition to move in, get attracted to the ball, and there's always gonna be that one man that's left open on the other side, and you switch it over. That's we saw that like pretty much many times under Carrick so far.
The unpredictability they need on one side, while also keeping a predictable run
And then bang.
whenever the opposition overloads the former. For instance,
Not really a good
what the
example, but you get me.
relational side looks.
Oh, what a goal!
As you can see, they don't need fixed zones or perfect triangles to break a defense. Even two players with great chemistry can break a back four.
He gives you the base, he gives you the foundation, he gives you certain rules. That's your responsibility on the ball. I can't tell you where to pass the ball. I can't tell you where to shoot. I can help you where the space is going to be.
And this is what makes Carrick's attack so unpredictable. When you give your players to express the way they are naturally conditioned, they can easily enter into a flow state. And once they are in that state, it's almost impossible for anyone to predict.
That's one of the best things to be in anything, in an athlete, in musician. Flow state.
Never been a system-first club. From
Yeah, we haven't.
Sir Matt Busby to Sir Alex, they gave their players.
This is the one thing where I thought Carlo Ancelotti could be a United coach. Could have, if we ever hired Ancelotti, I feel like that could maybe work. But I look at like Nagelsmann. I was always inclined to try a German coach. We did Ragnick's German, but he's managing Austria. I was inclined to get Tuchel or Nagelsmann. I'm not Tuchel, Nagelsmann probably not anymore. I was very inclined, mainly due to how young he is and what he was able to, how entertaining his football was. But I deeper and realize he's becoming more positional. That's why I like Pep. The thing is, Pep's different, man. I would take Pep in a heartbeat. He's different. I don't care if he's more positional than freedom. He's different.
What to expect from the opposition. But once the game started, the players were on their own and had to use their own decision-making to attack the weaknesses.
With Sir Alex especially, it was kind of the principles based, and there wasn't as many meetings, there wasn't as much detail. It was the trust more and the emotion and the principles to say, well, this is what I want you to go and play.
This way, you're helping your players develop their own decision-making and intelligence, instead of making them rely on you to solve every single problem. And being a disciple of Sir Alex, both Ole and now Michael Carrick understood this very well.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it felt more united under them, because they knew what it felt like. They knew they knew what it was.
Why didn't that same energy and excitement last?
But the thing is that I think the main concern that people have with the Carrick thing is the deja vu. Literally says it right there, deja vu.
Direction with Michael Carrick. But before we get ahead, just like Michael Carrick, many modern coaches are focusing more on developing their players' own decision-making and game intelligence. As we progress to time, the tactics given by the coaches in the dressing room are not enough for the modern game. Every player needs to think like a tactician on the pitch, where they need to make right decisions in real time. And that's exactly where today's sponsor,
sponsor. Sorry, gotta skip that. I've seen that sponsor many times, the little VR. This is the worry.
compare the tactics of Ole and Carrick. Apart from giving players freedom to express, Ole's tactics was more transitional in nature.
Yeah, it
They
was. It
allowed the
was.
opposition to
Carrick
control
is
the
definitely
ball,
more
then
possessional.
reacted instantly
Yeah,
after
like
winning it
genuinely.
back. But when you're facing a team that does the exact same thing,
My
then
God, some
you
of the
have a
low
problem.
blocks we played
However, when we look at
under
Michael Carrick's tactical influence,
Ole.
his system is as fluid as it gets.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be seen
I think
switching
Ole
deep
is
and
just a bit more
attacking on the break,
expressive.
but at other times, they like to dominate
I
possession
mean,
and
Carrick
patiently move
is a
the
bit
ball
more
around,
expression.
where they
It's more
manipulate
expressive.
the opposition's press and
I'm
create
not.
space wherever possible.
I'm not saying Ole wasn't. There wasn't freedom. There was freedom, but like, there was. It was more very counterable. You get me? Like you knew what we're gonna do. Hit them on the counter. Use speed with the speed of Rashford and Greenwood and Martial. Have the creativity of like Pogba, Matic, and Bruno. You get me? With Carrick, we can do that, but we can also control games. I don't think we were able to control games under Ole. Not as often as have we been able to under Carrick.
See a single Carrick player standing still after making a pass. Each one keeps moving and searching for the next space to make themselves available. And this shows how Carrick applies various modern principles while also keeping the traditional DNA of United intact. But that doesn't mean his tactics can finally rebuild United. There are many other problems the club still has to solve. But before that, let's take a look at...
This is what they... Tactically, right? It looks good, but there's obviously other things we still need to work on.
How Carrick's tactics looks in a simulation.
The experiment.
Under Carrick,
Football Manager.
It's always a 4-2-3-1, which then turns into a 4-4-2 on the pitch. And within this, taking inspiration from total football, Carrick wants every player to keep moving after passing. This means you would see even the center backs leaving their actual position either to create space for others or by attacking the open space themselves, while one of the fullback joins the front four, while the other stays back to form an artificial back three. And amongst the pivot, the left one acts more of a box-to-box player, who can either support the attack or dribble into the box,
this Maynard
while
run.
the other one is purely a ball winner midfielder. And as for Bruno, he can either play as a free roamer or an advanced playmaker, mostly staying higher up the pitch, but also moving into different areas to provide a creative route for his teammates. But when we move to the wingers, as we discussed earlier, Ahmad likes to stay wider to create those 1-versus-1 situations whenever United switch play, while the left winger inverts into central areas to create close proximity with the others. When we move into the team instructions, Carrick likes to give his players the freedom to make decisions by themselves. So most of the instructions can simply be left on standard, but at the same time, Carrick prefers quality chances over quantity, meaning he encourages his players to stay patient on the ball and wait for the right opportunity to naturally open up. So we'll set the team patience into work ball into box. We'll also ask them to play through the press, as Carrick has been heavily influenced by De Zerbi's pressing bait approach. While out of possession, Carrick's United are well known for defending in a mid-block, so we'll keep the line of engagement on mid-block with a standard defensive line. So overall, while Carrick's tactic may look like an evolution of Ole's style with a modern blend, but the first thing he needs to do is to build a foundation of how United should identify themselves for the next 10 years. For instance, clubs like
I would love him to be our coach for 10 years.
A wonderful example of this,
yeah,
even after
I think there's a lot of models we can look into.
To remain a high proactive team. So they chose Hurtzler, whose style of play shared many of those same principles. And even after Klopp left, Liverpool kept hiring managers who valued high counter-pressing football, each bringing their own unique touch without abandoning the club's identity. However, after more than a decade, United may have finally found a man who still carries the same essence of what the old United looked like. And all we can do now is hope that this time it finally clicks. And if it didn't, then the next question United would hopefully avoid is that who is the best manager available.
The next time we hire a head coach,
football identity they've already decided on.
Hopefully not, bro. Hopefully not. The next time we hire a head coach, hopefully it's due to Carrick not being sacked, but being successful and wanting to leave it on high. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp. The thing is, with like former players going to the former clubs to manage, we like Xavi. I can't think of much on the top of my head, but the only one I can think of is like Xavi. He won a La Liga title, to be fair, with Barcelona after they were in turmoil, so it can be successful. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, next time we see a new coach for United, maybe in 8-7 years, and it's due to them replacing Carrick after a high.